Hello and welcome to episode 7 of our AGS Success video blog, bringing the science of learning to you at home. This week we're going to be discussing the benefits of stress. Now John, I know a lot of us in our lives have probably felt some stress at some point, whether that's been from an upcoming test, exam, driving test, or even an interview maybe as adults. And we've probably felt different physiological changes in our body around that time, so whether it's been an increased heart rate, whether it's been sweating, whether it's been kind of butterflies in our stomach. And we've tended to think of those as being negative, especially with the negative connotations around stress in the press. But actually, I know a lot of the reading we've been doing recently might suggest otherwise, and might suggest there's quite a lot of benefits to that, certainly for students as well. Can you elaborate on why that might be?
Yeah, I mean, first of all of those things that you've just described there are actually automatic and pretty much out of our control. They're all evolutionary responses that are built into kind of the human species' ability for fight, or freeze.
Yeah.
Essentially, when we are under threat, we have always got those three options. Obviously, that's evolved over time. We're not literally going to have a punch up in the street or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that might be our reaction, and that's the key word, reaction. So whether I'm the most successful public speaker in the world, I'm probably still going to get some butterflies before I go on stage.
Yeah.
But although that is a reaction, we have a choice in how we choose to respond to that.
Okay.
And that can be really important. So we can choose to think of all those things as a really bad thing, or we can choose to take them as a positive and think about all those ways is our body priming ourselves to get ready to perform. I suppose you have a background in sports. Is that something that you can elaborate on?
Yeah, I used to be an American football coach, as you know, and I think that I used to reassure the players in the change rooms beforehand that actually, you know, that increased heart rate or that sweating is ultimately their body, like you said, being primed for battle, and the players needed that increase in oxygen flying around their body. So actually, it was just that, you know, that they can't do that unless their heart's beating faster, because they need to pump more blood around their body. And the players then started to realise that was, if they didn't have that, then they weren't ready. So actually, it was about reassuring them and understanding that actually that this is a better state of mind and a better state of body to being ready to perform the task in hand.
Oh, okay. So one of the negative connotations that comes along with stress is that we get really stressed and our heart beats a lot faster, and then kind of there's a hardening of the arteries and we end up having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of worst case scenario kind of thing. But there's studies that have been shown that actually just by having a different view of stress, essentially making friends with stress, your heart will still beat just as fast when you're feeling like that, but the hardening of the arteries in this study happened for people that had a negative view of stress, whereas for people that had a positive view of stress, it actually worked the opposite way around, and people kind of embraced that extra blood flow that was going through their body, and it actually ended up being quite a positive thing. So what we're talking about here is not trying to stop yourself from getting stress.
Because it's going to happen anyway.
Absolutely. But to harness those stressed feelings and turn them into something positive and kind of give yourself the power to perform, really.
So it's all about perceptions, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And actually, we've all got that in our locker to do anyway. You know, it's going to happen to us anyway. So embrace it and think of it as a positive rather than a negative.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We always finish with a tip for parents and a tip for students. So what have you got that students can do on the back of this?
So essentially, you can choose how to respond to your stress signature if you don't know what your stress signature is.
Right.
So what we encourage the students to do when they're starting to feel under a little bit of stress is identify how their body does react.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I know when I'm starting to get stressed, I get really warm.
Okay.
So if I'm ever feeling really warm or kind of hot under the collar, first thing I'll be thinking is, well, is it a hot day? And if it's not, well, that's probably an indication to me that I'm starting to get a little bit stressed. Now, different people will react different ways. So what we encourage the students to do is almost create a little mental picture, or they might even want to write it down on a piece of paper, draw a stick man and say, right, when I get stressed, this is what happens to me, this is what happens to me. And just being a little bit more aware of your own stress signature then allows you, instead of just your body kind of running away and reacting, you can choose how to respond.
Perfect. And for parents who are watching, how can they help in this way?
We've mentioned a lot of the kind of physical effects of stress and the way your body reacts, but it actually also releases a number of different hormones, and those hormones can actually build up over time unless we do something to kind of give them a release from our body. Two ways that we can do that release is to have some physical exercise.
Okay.
So something you might do with your children if you're starting to notice that they're starting to feel a bit stressed, just encourage them to go for a run around the block.
Yeah.
And again, I think you'd find a lot of people who will say, actually, the last thing I want to do when I'm stressed is go to the gym.
Yeah.
But as soon as I've gone and done that workout, I feel much better afterwards.
Absolutely,
And similarly, just having a bit of downtime. I talked about it being evolution. Cavemen would have a lot of campfire time at the end of the night, and just that downtime just allows your body to kind of come back down from that raised intensity really caused by stress. So kind of switching everything off and just having a little bit of time of quiet to just rest and relax.
Perfect, great, okay, very good. Well, thank you very much for watching, and like always, you can access any of our previous video blogs and all of our archived material on our YouTube channel, on any of our social media networks, and we'd love to hear from you as parents or students on how you're finding any of the techniques that we've already given you. Are they working? How are you using them? And what benefit is it having to you at home as students and as parents as well? So thank you very much indeed.